Shlump.
Hello everybody, it's Shlump here, and today I have for you Postal 2 on the Steam Deck. Now quick disclaimer before the video starts, this gameplay footage features a lot of blood, gore, I go around peeing on people until they puke, so if you don't want to see that stuff, you can just look away and go audio only listening to my lovely voice. But with that out of the way, this is Postal 2 on the Steam Deck, and I first got it a few months ago when I first got my Steam Deck very shortly after that, and at the time I bought it, the game had not been assigned a playability rating by Valve. I mean, it was untested, just waiting for me to test it. And test it I did, and the results I got were pretty disappointing, considering it's a game from the early 2000s, so it should run extremely well at 1080p 60 FPS, because I've played much more demanding games on Steam Deck at 1080p 60 FPS, like Doom Eternal, which I recently made a video on, so you can go check that out if you want to. But I was hoping for more from this game, and I just didn't get it. The frame rate was all over the place, huge hitches and stutters happening all the time, super frequently, and also I could not figure out how to get VSync to work properly, so the frame rate was uncapped, and there was just screen tearing all over the screen. So not a good time, not a good experience, and so I put the game down for a while, and over the past few months, I've just been testing it like every few weeks, seeing if anything changed with Proton, seeing if Valve has done anything, and I noticed recently that Valve did assign this game a playability rating. They rated it as playable. I mean, it's not perfect, but it should be good enough. And I'm going to call BS on that because in the description of the playability rating, where it says the game is playable on Steam Deck, it says the default graphics configuration performs well. And that's just simply not true. I don't know what they're basing that off of, whether it's good or not, because this footage here, this is the default graphics configuration, and it runs horribly. At some point, I think it even goes into the teens in terms of frame rate. Yeah, it just went to 9 FPS there. It's absolutely horrible. I think I did get VSync working somehow, so the game does not have screen tearing, so that issue is resolved. But still, hitches, stutters, and frame rates just absolutely all over the place. Never really getting to smooth 60 FPS at all. We should be able to run this game at max settings. I know the Steam Deck can do it, but that's just not happening here. So for Valve to say this game is playable with the default graphics configuration performing well, that's just false, simply. And this kind of points out an issue I've had with a lot of Valve ratings on games on the Steam Deck. They don't run well, but Valve says they do. And I don't know what they're basing that off of, because I feel like if a game runs at 60 FPS on PS4 and Xbox One, then it should run at 60 FPS on Steam Deck for them to say the default graphics configuration performs well. And if it's like a 30 FPS game on PS4 and Xbox One, and then if it runs at 30 FPS steadily on Steam Deck, then they could say that game runs well. So if like Call of Duty runs at 60 FPS on PS4 and Xbox One, and if that runs at 60 FPS on Steam Deck, I would call that a good frame rate. I would call the graphics playable then. But if it's a 30 FPS game like Horizon Zero Dawn, and it runs at 30 FPS on Steam Deck, then I would say it's fair to say it runs well. But when a game that should run at 60 FPS and way above can't even hit 60 FPS, and it's just this big, huge, awful mess in terms of performance, just super chaotic constantly, it's just wrong, I feel, to say that it runs well. And Valve has done this in a lot of games. Goat Simulator is just another video that I made. It comes off the top of my head that I made highlighting how their playability rating doesn't really mean much, because a lot of times the games that they list as playable are actually worse than games that they say are unsupported. Like Halo Master Chief Collection, they claim it's unsupported on Steam Deck, but it runs way better than this game does or Goat Simulator does. So I made a video on that if you want to check that one out too. But overall, it's just not a good time on the Steam Deck. When I tried it this time, the VSync did work, as I said earlier, but don't be surprised if you try this game and the VSync does not work. I don't know how it got working. But this is just the default graphics configuration, which Valve says runs well, and it clearly doesn't. So don't buy this game if you want to play on a Steam Deck. You're going to have to play it somewhere else. Really, any potato PC nowadays should be able to play it, because look at it. It's a very old game. But I was hoping to play on Steam Deck, and unfortunately, it's just not going to happen, it seems. Turning the graphics down doesn't even really fix things. I turned things super low, not this footage, but on my own, because I've been testing the game the past few months, on and off, waiting to see if it gets better over time. It hasn't. And I've tried all sorts of graphics configuration, everything I can think of, and it's just not happening. The game just has too many hitches and stuttering and frame rate issues for it to be an enjoyable experience. So it's not worth your time on Steam Deck. Probably gonna have to play it somewhere else. And that's Postal 2 on Steam Deck. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe for more Steam Deck videos like this one. Most people who watch my videos are not subscribed, so it'd be super awesome if you could do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Steam Deck video.